Welcome to Writing the Wrong Way. This is a podcast for serious writers who want to develop their skills in artistry and stand out in a crowded industry by taking intelligent, creative risks. I'm your host, Jonathan Ball. I hold a PhD in literature. I'm the author of numerous books, and I take a very analytical approach to art making, emphasizing both efficiency and experimentation. So I'm here with Jessie Taylor, a talented up-and-coming writer, but also who's been doing some editing on my new book coming out next year. But best known for being my daughter. And I wanted to talk to Jessie, not just partly be for like a real reason, not just because she's my daughter and it's kind of cute, but because she's 18 years old. Right now, about to enter university in less than a month. She'll be going into university. So kind of in that transition phase of life that a lot of people who reach out to me, at events or through my website or whatever, are at in a sort of position where, they've got some talent. They've kind of realized by now they sort of have some talent as a writer. And they're kind of in a transition phase, even if they're much older than, Jessie is now. I meet a lot of people who are kind of in a transition phase where they're starting to try to figure out more seriously whether or not, and if so, how they want to make writing a part of their life. So I just wanted to I thought it was just really interesting to talk to Jessie as sort of an example of the kind of person that I kind of run into a lot. Plus, I just kind of think it'd be fun and interesting. She's a little apprehensive about it because she thinks it'll be boring for everybody. But if so, that's, I guess that's my fault, not your fault. But let me ask you this question, just to kind of, you can ask me any questions you kind of come into your head. But okay. I want to kind of start with like this question, which is when you hear like me say something like that, like, Jessie's you have like a lot of talent as a writer, say. Like when people say stuff like that to you, do you believe it? Like, do you actually feel like you yourself have talent, or do you just feel like it's a thing your dad is saying? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm curious to know. Like I want to kind of get your headspace a little bit around that. Do you believe you have talent as a writer?
I don't know. Some days.
Some days, yeah. What about when you do feel like you have talent as a writer? Like, how does it feel? When you write something, you're actually, happy with it or proud of it. Like, what's that experience like for you?
It's hard to explain because I just don't know what to do with it. It's like, I like what I wrote, but I don't.
But what's next?
Yeah, like I don't. It's like, oh, okay, cool. So what?
Sure. Yeah. Well, a lot of people, this is like why it's interesting to me, because a lot of people I talk to, like even not just your age too, like, but like, sometimes much older, because a lot of people come to writing like later on. I was just reading the other room, Haruki Murakami's first novels, and he started writing when he was 29, 30. He didn't even really do much dabbling to even think about being a writer in any reason. The way he tells the story is he was watching a baseball game one day and just was like, popped in his head, I think I could write a novel. And it just like, from that point on, he was a novelist and he just, started charging forward. I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but that's kind of like the story he tells.
Yeah.
But like a lot of people, like later on, they'll kind of come to the realization. But I think, like for me, I was very young when I kind of got more seriously interested in it. I always tell people, like, I think you have a lot more talent than I ever had. But I think I don't know if you're quite as interested in it exactly. So, but I think you have like your days, where you kind of seem much more interested in it, if that makes sense. But like, is that something you've kind of, let me ask you a question. When you don't think you have talent, like on the days where you try something and you just feel like it's hard or it sucks or whatever, like what's that like?
I don't know. It just feels frustrating. Like, I don't know. I feel annoyed because I know that like I have had times where I'm able to actually, like, I don't know, produce something like worthwhile. So then it just sucks and I'm just stuck. And it's like I can't actually, I don't know, it just anything I write just sounds basic. It's like
basic.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not matching, but you know you've done it. Like, you've had other times.
Yeah, that's why. Well, I don't know. That's why I don't really take it seriously. Like, I feel like I can only write when I'm inspired.
Yeah. Do you really believe that, or is it just how you feel?
I don't know.
Do you know the difference? Like, what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you two questions. So one, like, what's the question you would like ask? You've got like your piece of writing, that you're happy with, you like it.
Yeah.
When you have that feeling like, well, what do I do now? Like, to me, that's an interesting feeling for somebody to have. And that's where I think you have a lot of kind of an interesting, again, I see you in an interesting position as a writer, because some people like are just, well, I did a thing, I'm happy, I'm done. But you've got that kind of thing of like, I did it, I'm happy, but I'm not done. Like you, like maybe there's another thing. So I guess the question is like, what's your question there?
No, I don't know. Nobody teaches you how to write or like what to do with writing.
Sure.
Or like, I don't know, like you go to school and you have science fair and you have, I don't know, like sports and whatnot. You have math contests, but like there's no, I mean, I guess like, I don't know, you do like a book report once in your life, but like, no one, I don't know, like I don't know if that makes sense. Like there's just nothing, I feel like you're not encouraged as much.
Sure.
To actually do something with it. But like, oh, it's, if you get this cool science idea, it's like you do an experiment and you publish it and you, or if you're really good at math, you do math contests.
You see,
so like
the path's not so clear in a way.
Yeah, like no one really, or even, I mean, and I don't think it's just an artist problem, because, I don't know, like if you paint a pretty picture, they put it on the wall, like,
yeah,
outside the office and stuff. I don't know, like I feel like I've never really been taught in school, like, what to do with writing, or how to actually make, like, not just make something beyond schoolwork, like, or just hobby.
Sure.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
Well, what about with the kind of literary journal that your school did?
But that was totally student built.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't...
Sure. Like, the teachers were helping and participating.
I mean, that didn't happen until I was in grade 11.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been writing all my life. I've just never... It was always just, like, a hobby.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's still a hobby.
Sure. Well, let me ask you a couple of questions around it. So then, like, I guess, what's in your mind the difference between like a hobby and not a hobby? Like if you were to kind of take it to a place where it's not a hobby, what do you think? What would that look like in your view? Like, what would feel like? Because this is a thing I see a lot. People have the idea that they're not a real writer until X happens, but everybody has a different X, and I'm always interested to know, like, what is the thing that you would feel would make you a real writer, if that makes sense. Is that how it feels like, or is it not?
I don't know if I have one, like, I don't know if there's one specific act.
What are the kinds of things like you think about?
Just recognition.
Yeah.
Money.
Sure.
People reading my stuff outside my parents.
Outside of just me telling you it's good or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
I don't know.
So why is it that you haven't pursued that more seriously, do you think? Because you could always, because it's an interesting thing, because you could just always ask me, well, what should I do with this writing? But you don't, which I'm not like, I try not to push you too much about the writing stuff. Like, I try to be supportive and, help you with it and things. But I don't know if you've noticed, but I always wait for you to ask me, because I don't feel like, I think it's that, like, since I am a writer, it's like, I don't want to be like pushing it on you, if that makes sense. But I've always wanted to be like encouraging of it. So to me, it's like a kind of a weird, it's kind of a thing where I don't want to like be pushing it down your throat, right? Like,
yeah.
But I've tried to be very supportive of it and helpful when I can be. I don't know, like, but it's interesting to me, like, it's always interesting to me, like, when you come to me and when you don't, and like, it's kind of like about the writing stuff. It's always curious to me.
I guess I just don't really. I just don't feel that confident in like
Sure.
my work. Like I feel like even if I were to try and send it to someone, like I don't feel like it would be taken seriously.
Yeah. Do you worry it would be like rejected and that would feel bad, for example?
Not necessarily. I just feel like it wouldn't even be like noticed.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. I'm kind of scared. Or like if it did, then what? Like I don't know. Everyone, I don't know. Everyone
just like
tells
this.
You not to be a writer.
Yeah. I mean, I don't tell you not to be, but
no,
it is like a thing. I know what you feel. Like, I never had any encouragement about being a writer, really. Like, you know.
Like, oh, I write. And they're like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
You write poems?
Especially poems, I think people are very, like, they don't know what to do with it. Because it's not really, even if they've read poems, it's not really in their experience necessarily.
I don't know. It's like, I feel like if I try to build a career in writing, I'll just fail miserably and live in a box.
Why do you think that, though?
Because I don't know.
Because you've seen, like, people can build a career on art. You've seen that people can build, like, a career on writing. You know, it's hard. Some people do better than others. But, like, it is, like, a thing people do, right? You've met people that I know, you know, that are full-time artists.
They're so good at it.
Yeah. But they weren't always that good, right?
That's true.
I always use like, even me, like, I do a bunch of different things, but, like, it's kind of all foundationally connected to writing. And, like, you know, even when I teach, it's kind of a offspring of the writing. But I'm not as, like, I still have to do, like, quote unquote, like, what I would call service work connected to the writing. Like, the writing itself isn't necessarily making all the money, which I think is common, actually. That's one thing that people don't really understand about writing as, like, I guess what you call it, a business model. Like, if you're a writer, you got two things you can sell. You can sell products and services. And most people, when they kind of get into, like, writing professionally, say, they focus on trying to sell their writing as a product, which is usually a bad idea. Because writing as a product is a hard sell. Like, you can sell it, but it's a hard sell.
That's the only kind of writing I really want to do. Like, I don't feel compelled to help people write resumes or to edit papers for people. Like, that's not something, I don't hate that stuff. Like, I don't know.
But you don't like it necessarily enough.
It doesn't bring me joy. Like, I don't, like, I want to write art. I don't want to.
Yeah, sure.
I don't want to write ads. I don't want to, like, I don't want to be that kind of a writer. And I feel like it's really hard to solely be an artist.
Yeah, I mean, there's exceptions, but I think it's generally hard to almost solely do that.
Yeah.
In any art field, it's kind of hard to solely do one thing. Like, you look at a guy like Greg, you know, Gregor Kmichik.
No, but I just feel like
he is illustrating, he's writing, he's doing a bunch of things. But it also took him a while to get to that point where he was self-sustaining too, right?
Yeah.
Like, most people who are successful, quote unquote, as independent anythings, like entrepreneurs or artists or whatever, they typically have, you know, what they call multiple income streams. You know, so it's like they make, you know, some money off their actual writing, but then other things, like they're teaching it or doing editing, doing maybe business work or other things. So what you don't like in some ways is the idea of having, like, to do all those other things that aren't kind of are ancillary. So you're more interested, if you were to do it more seriously, you'd be more interested in doing, like,
aspect.
Yeah. But then, in that case, like, the one thing that people do, like, if they have that attitude more, is they'll have like another job, say, but they'll also be doing writing. But even those people often have to,
but
like.
Then, I don't know. I feel like because. I mean, and I like editing. I wouldn't want to be doing like tiny little shitty edit stuff. Like I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
want to be actually editing like real good work. I don't know, and like
How have you enjoyed doing some of the editing on my book?
well,
So you've been doing
I
it
like
big.
it. It's just like I don't know. It's hard. It's harder too because it's you.
Yeah, it's harder.
So well, yeah, because I
Yeah.
can't just be like, this fucking sucks.
You kind of do though. You said
Yeah,
that a couple
but-
times. But yeah, I had to push you to kind of say it.
But I feel like I have to spare your feelings
Really?
a little more.
Really? Around the writing?
Not that I think writing sucks. That's not what I mean. I just I don't know.
I guess it's your natural inclination to try to spare
Yeah.
my feelings. Do you think I'm pretty sensitive about the writing? Like, I can be sensitive about things, but I don't know if I am about the writing. I got a hard shell about
Not
the
as
writing.
much as other things.
Yeah, sure. I've gotten a hard shell around the writing in particular, I think,
Mm-hmm.
because I just practice it. Well, what I realized, too, you're talking about, what I realized early, it was like, it's being rejected or like that fear of like sending things to people and like, are they going to take it seriously or whatever. I kind of realized pretty early that basically the answer is like, if you're failing, I forget who said it, but somebody once said like, if as a writer you're getting rejected like 90% of the time, then you have a crazily successful career. Like to be like not like rejected 90% of the time only is like pretty impressive. So you just kind of like, you kind of have to come into it from that attitude of like, like it's a numbers game in a way, and like you don't have to have everything be very successful.
It just feels
But it's hard.
safer to, I don't know, choose like a career, like quote unquote.
Well, it's a good idea in a lot of ways. Like depending on what you're going to do. Because if you're a writer, if you're trying to do anything like that full time, like then you're doing it as a business, and
Well, you
now you
gotta
got to need
go-
a business model.
Yeah, and well, like if that's I don't know, like as an artist, if you want that to be your career, I don't like obviously being an artist is career. I just mean
But
it's less laid out. It's like if that's gonna be your career, you have to like really go into it head on, and then there's that fear like, what if I put my all into this and I don't get anything back?
Yeah, and also, how do you
And
exactly
then I'm
plan it out?
25 and I like don't have I don't know, like I don't have insurance and like
Yeah,
you know, like I don't know.
yeah.
It's stressful.
It can be very stressful, and it can be very like difficult. For me, like is the thing where I always like. I always had a hard time with having a boss. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I had a hard time with not being in control of things. And I always like, in some ways, preferred to trade control for like security for control in certain areas, if you know what I mean. Like not all the time. Because and I do a lot of things I don't necessarily want to do for like money in terms of like writing and related work. But, you know, when you're young like you are, is when you can kind of take more of those risks. But then, you know, I know what you mean though. Then you look ahead and you don't want to be like end up in a weird bad spot where you kind of wish you did things differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you think they should teach you more in school about like actual like business stuff? Because I think like in some ways like let's say because you're also into psychology. Like let's say you were to go on and become a psychologist. One of the things you could do in that scenario is like have your own, you know, practice, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, if you were going to decide to take writing seriously and, you know, focus on that, one of the things you could do is, you know, like, again, have your own kind of writing business. But so in both scenarios, like a psychology business and a writing business, you're in business. But they don't teach you that stuff, like the basics of like how to run a business or
They
even
didn't teach you how to do taxes.
how to do taxes.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Basic accounting, you know, budgeting.
Well, it's tough because they can't teach you everything, but I don't know.
Do you feel like, you know,
I feel like they could probably round it out a bit more.
yeah. Do you have you ever really? I know you had when you had to work in that literary journal and so on. Do you think about ever like somebody else reading that journal? Because of course, like like your friends and family are reading it. But, like, do you like people beyond that are reading it, right? Do you ever does that ever pop into your head? Like, there's a bunch of people who have read those poems that like your grandma. We were just talking to your great grandma, and she was talking about how I like that book you were in and everything. But she's clearly read. But she read more than just your poem, right? Like, so there's other people out there who like don't know her at all that she's read their stuff, and the same is true for you. There's other people like that are not your family and not your friends and completely does this ever cross your mind? That sort of, you probably got a couple hundred people out there who read that don't have a clue who you are.
Yeah, I guess it's weird, but I don't see that as, they read it because they want to read my work. They read it because their kid.
Sure.
His work was in like a little cute little book in their high school. Like, I feel like it was still wouldn't be really taken seriously because it's just like a collage of. I mean, like it was like a book. It's just.
But it's a context.
Kind of just a collage of. Like. Some kids' artwork, like. So I feel like it's. I mean, like it's not going to show up in a bookstore type thing. Like it's just.
Have you thought about like submitting some of your stuff to like a real literary journal or something like a website that publishes like an online journal or anything like that?
Well, I don't know how to use a website, so
yeah,
that one.
Jesse's got a website.
I put stuff on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah. You should set your website up with one of these days. Jesse's at jessietaylor.ca if you want to go there. There's nothing really there right now. Don't go there.
Embarrassing on it.
I think I took it off, but did I put something embarrassing on it?
It was like, I bought my daughter.
Oh, that's right. For a while, I just said I bought my daughter a website.
It's like when you get those T-shirts that they're like, I went to Wisconsin, or my mom went to Wisconsin, bought me this shirt.
Yeah. It's like the website version of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've thought of submitting stuff to a journal, but
You talked yourself out of it?
I don't know, at least the few I've looked at, like, they wanted you to send, like, 4 to 6 poems.
Yeah.
And, like, I feel like I don't have 4 to 6 that are really good.
Sure.
I think I have 2 that are really, I don't know, like 3. But those ones I put in the literary journal, so I feel like I can't.
Yeah, technically, you mean for the most part, somebody would consider them published. Like they are published, right?
They're not really.
They are. It doesn't feel like it to you.
It's like the equivalent of making like an Apple photo album.
An Apple photo. I don't know. Well, sure.
Like it's published technically.
Well, okay, I see what you mean, but I think you're minimizing it a bit. But I understand what you're saying. You feel it's a different context because you haven't been selected from people you don't know, and like there's the whole.
Literally. Well, I mean, not the first year, but like
no, but
second year or something. I mean, so.
Do you I think one of the things that makes it tough when you're young, like you are, is you have like, even if you've been doing a lot of writing, you've only got probably a small amount of things you really like and really think, I hit it with these ones. Mm-hmm. And one of the problems that I see a lot is in that sort of scenario, because people have very few actual pieces they've done to their satisfaction. Yeah. They've really invested in those pieces. And like there's a way in which, in addition to like it being a poem you wrote, it symbolizes your writing. Do you know what I mean? Do you ever have that feeling? And so if somebody were to reject it, or like it feels like it feels like something bigger than the one piece. But if you've written like 1,000 poems or something, like I've written thousands of poems. So that, like there's ones I like more than others, but at a certain point you're not so invested in a single thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's like, well, there's more where that came from. Like I've lost stuff in computer crashes, and it's it's frustrating, upsetting, but it's like, well, I could do that another one. Like at a certain point you kind of.
I don't feel that way.
Well, I think it's hard when you're younger, and that's why I always advise people just to do more stuff. Like quantity is more important than quality when you're young. It sounds weird, but like you got to kind of move to. You can still do quality work. You've done some really quality work, but like you kind of have to move to focus on quantity when you're young.
Quantity, because then it just feels like shit.
Yeah, but most of it is going to be shit.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, you don't have to, but like, if you want to, like, if you decide you want to do it a bit more seriously, like at a certain point, it really helps to get comfortable with writing shit, because eventually, like, you can polish that into something that's good. But it's hard when you don't have anything. Like, people, you know, they overinvest in like having a polished piece in front of them. And there's a lot of
feels more successful.
What is more? Yeah, it does. I mean, and in the long run, you want to have polished, good pieces, but you got to kind of be willing to, you got to kind of be willing to live in that middle space for a bit, where you're writing a bunch of stuff, and then like some of it you're gonna abandon, and some of it you're gonna take forward. And you're kind of,
I feel like people don't really read poetry.
Poetry is a hard sell.
And I know a few people that do, but most, like, my friends don't read poetry.
Yeah.
I have maybe one friend that reads poetry. Like, I was
talking to Red about this the other day.
I feel like it's just kind of like a dying art right now.
I mean, in the market, it's kind of a dead art, but like, it's not. I mean, I don't know. There's been like some really Rupi Kaur and other people have been very successful with it, but for the most part, like I mean, nothing against her or people like that who are doing that kind of work, but like for the most part, their audience is not readers. It's like they happen to read that one book, but they're not readers of poetry. They read that poetry book. You know what I mean?
And then they like poetry. So
yeah.
They're like, oh, poetry sucks. Or they're like, wow, this is so inspirational. And then like, that's their idea of poetry.
Yeah.
It's just quotes.
But, that's where it's like a thing.
It's like writing a bunch of quotes down.
I had this person just talk to me. They're asking me, like, how do I market my poetry book? They're like, I need to know, like, I've got this poetry book. How do I market it? The poetry book is all about, like, basically sisters that had been estranged and separated for a long time, and then kind of can reconnect again later in life. Yeah, so it's kind of a neat idea. And she's like, but I don't know, I've been having a hard time getting like attention for it and so on. How do I market it? Like the perennial question of how do I market it? And my answer is like a weird answer, which is like, you got to kind of focus on. There's a guy named Dan Blank who wrote an interesting book called Be the Gateway.
Is his name actually Blank?
I don't know if it's his real name, but yeah, Dan Blank is the name he publishes under anyway. But anyway, it's his point in there, I think, is very valid. In the book is a very valid point, which is that if you're in the business of art making in some way, you want to really. It's easy to fall in the trap of I would need to like sell my poetry book, like, and like I need to find ways to sell more books. No, but not really.
If that's your career, like that is ultimately your goal is to.
But maybe that, but ultimately isn't your goal to create an experience for that person? Like his point is like so I was saying this one, like your real goal, but in some way, but do they, like, you could just give it to them. Like that's like in many ways, like her real goal ultimately is like to get people, like to kind of connect people and change people's perceptions and do other things like around this experience of like, that, I think it's called sororal estrangement. I forget the precise term for that thing, but so in some ways, like if she were to think through her goals a bit more fully, I suspect it would be more along the lines of like, it could be accomplished by like doing a talk and like an event and like doing things related to that topic, and then like the poetry is kind of in there.
Yeah.
Like again, like now you're in a kind of a weird speaking business or something, and maybe you don't want to be in that. But like poetry as a product is a bad product because people don't want to buy it. Even if they value it, they don't want to pay money for it. It's kind of a weird thing in the culture now. But at the same time, like it is like of quite like quote unquote value, like in terms of like an experience.
People just don't even value literature anymore.
I think it's like less. I mean, it depends on the person, right? But it's certainly a niche product in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
people don't see the value in.
But some people do.
Like, why is this book?
Why is this book?
$30.
I know, isn't that something?
Like, they just see it as paper.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
But really, like $30 is a great investment. Like, you take how long is a book going to entertain you and so on. But I bet even I like have a hard time paying $30 for a book sometimes,
Yeah.
And look at how much I do it. But like, it's a weird cultural thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I think it's where again, like in some ways you have to retrain yourself and also an audience to think around like, what's this book as an experience? What's it worth for you as like a thing that's going to change your life in some way versus, here's a paper thing and there's an E1 that's cheaper and so on. Like people get too caught up in the, like thinking in those terms. It's kind of a hard thing to get out of though. If you were to like, even if you were going to do it as like a main career or anything, but if you were to take it a little more seriously, how do you feel it would look like for you? Like, you ever flirt with the idea of like what I always say, like you should just have a schedule and you should write on a schedule.
Yeah.
Wait, how do you feel about that? Like, you obviously. Do you think I'm wrong?
It's hard when you live at home.
Hard, yeah.
Because you don't really get. I mean, you do have your own schedule, but you don't. Not everything's on your terms.
Sure.
Like, I don't know. I mean, I do have a lot of independence, so it's not like I'm totally, like, not able to do anything I want, but it's harder. Like, you can't be like, no one talk to me for the next 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not really acceptable when you live at home.
Do you feel like you need those big blocks of time to do, like, quote-unquote real writing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, because of my, like, attention span.
Yeah.
Personally.
Because it's so fragmented, you think?
Well, I can't
It takes you a long time.
I mean, maybe not, like, 4 hours is a stretch, but I
But
wouldn't,
yeah, what you mean.
Like...
You want a focus stretch?
Yeah, like, I can't just, it's like me with studying, like, I can't just study for 20 minutes. I need 20 minutes to get focused.
Yeah.
And then I'll study for an hour or whatever.
Sure.
Like, it just...
Have you thought
it takes, like, at least 10 minutes to get into the mindset. It's like, okay, I'm gonna write now.
It is a tricky thing. I find like it's one of the hardest things for people is to, create that space or that time. Because, like you say, even if you're totally willing to do it, like you often have all these competing factors. I always offer the solution of like, you have 2 schedules. So you have like your writing schedule that you want to try to keep. What I do in class, I have people make a schedule. Like, I talk about how important it is to have a writing schedule. I go through all the science of it and everything, and et cetera, et cetera. Then I, say, have sit down and make a schedule for their week that they're going to do, and then they, I give them a couple minutes to put the schedule together, and then I tell them, okay, now take that piece of paper and toss it in the trash, because nobody will life will not allow you to have that schedule. Like that's your ideal schedule. And then I have them make a second schedule. And the second one is the Hell Week schedule. And what I say is like, imagine now that instead of that ideal scenario where all these magical things were happening and angels were allowing you to do whatever you wanted, imagine it's absolute hell. You're stressed, you've got exams, you've got your boyfriend just dumped you, like all this trash, is going on in your life. Your life is a dumpster fire. In that week, when could you reclaim, what time could you still get in that week just for yourself, just to take a break from all the shit, just to kind of, have that little, what's like this minimum amount you could commit to that amount, if nothing else, even if it's only 15 minutes a day or like half an hour every 2 days or something. And I have them do like this Hell Week schedule. Like, what's the minimum? Like, where, it's small enough that you could do it, because people always feel like they need those long stretches, and it does help. But then a lot of times when you get those long stretches, you'll find you waste most of it, right? Like you say, you'll spend 20 minutes getting focused. Yeah. And the other thing that people will find is if you do like kind of write in the margins of your life, like, like if you have that little tiny space of like 10, 15 minutes or 20 minutes, even just that tiny space, it feels bad and it feels fragmented, but it really does add up in a way, you know. And you can get a surprising, shocking amount done, and you can like kind of train yourself over time. But even like, but like the most important thing I tell people is the schedule. It's not how long it is or how often it is. Even it's just to have like a regular, you know, creative practice. Whether you're going to try to be professional about it or not, like just have that creative space for yourself. And just making it like a small enough thing you can maintain it even when everything's a disaster. And then you can always go above that, you know. But like having that thing, I really believe in that because I've seen it work, you know, when my life's falling apart, like to have like just that little ground of like even 15 minutes in the worst day, whatever. Because it does like give you, especially writing is like, you know, especially if you're going to write a poem or something where it's not necessarily, you know, going to change your life to like, you know, make $1 million off this poem, whatever, right? Like there's not necessarily that pressure on it in the same way like sometimes people feel for other things. Yeah, it's usually like a good time, like thing to kind of like, I find like when I get really, really busy and stressed out, the worst thing I can do is stop my schedule. Because then everything has totally spun out of control. Like, whereas if I just keep that schedule, like, at least I kept this schedule. Instead of even if I feel bad, I'm still like going through the motions of feeling good. And then, you know, kind of catch up to yourself in a way. I don't know. What do you have any questions for me about like anything related to like quote unquote being a serious writer, you know? Or like even just any questions about writing you've maybe just, you know, not asked me for any reason and maybe pop into your head.
I don't know.
Why don't you ask me more questions about writing?
I don't know.
I'm curious. You do ask me sometimes. I mean, I've, you know, done a lot of writing stuff with you, but I'm just always interested in like when you do and don't kind of get more into it. It's kind of curious. I find you a fascinating figure.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? It's a question you've always.
About that.
Yeah.
I just don't get how people do it.
Like
how do you write so much stuff? I don't get it.
How do I actually do it?
Yeah.
I just do it.
But like how?
Well, okay. There's a couple of tricks. So one is having a schedule. You know, no matter what it is, and it'll have to change. Like every once in a while, I have to change it around and stuff. But like just having like a regular time, a regular commitment. The other thing is honestly is tracking. Is I have like tricks around the schedule. So like a really simple thing that I do is like I'm really big believer in like you eliminate. You kind of analyze all the things that are preventing you from writing, and you just eliminate as many as possible. All the way from like the big things, like, you know, you feel, I don't know, big things like you're just anxiety ridden every time you sit down to write. Well, you go, you know, deal with your anxiety in some way. All the way down to like the smaller things like my computer takes too long to turn on. And so my idea is gone. So like, you know, I sit down, I don't know what I'm going to write. Well, then I'll think like the day before, what am I going to write tomorrow? You know, and I'll write it down on a piece of paper or something just so that I'm not like doing a little bit of planning like that.
Sometimes, but then I don't know. If it's something like an essay, that kind of works, but usually if it's like a singular idea, it's not always great.
The other thing is just to break the idea down or break the project down. Or
like I'll write down something I want to write about, and then when I actually get to it, I don't want to write about that thing.
Sure. Yeah, but that's a lot of that. Then you just move on to something else. Like how you write a lot of stuff is you just kind of. I mean, there's a couple of ways to do it. The ideal scenario, which, you know, again, you never really have, is the ideal scenario is, you know, you have a scheduled time, you have a project already that you're doing. You sit down, you do X amount you decide in advance, like a quota of how much you want to do. Like, if you want to write 50,000 words by November the 4th, you have to math out how much you do every day and all that stuff. It's hard to do that all the time because, so many things get in the way. But like the ideal thing is like just to treat it like any other job. People get, I'm really a big believer in just, you treat it like digging ditches, even though, you appreciate like kind of more abstract or, quote unquote inspirational like aspects of it. Like there's more artistic side. Like you pay a lot of attention to that in my view. And it's important to like really attend to those kind of abstract, weird, creative urge things. But I think as you're doing that, you have to really just break down the practicality of it as far as possible and like really think through like, how can I just make it a normalized, like a normal part of the day and a normal part, as opposed to viewing it as a thing that I can only do under certain conditions. Like there's certain conditions where I would like to do it under those conditions and I try to get to them, but otherwise just kind of remove the friction. Like what's the minimal thing? To me, the minimal thing is I need to have a computer because I can't read my own writing and I don't like to write by hand. Yeah. But like I need to have the computer. It has to be on.
By hand. I hate typing.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people who prefer to write by hand,
I guess I don't know. I guess I just worry like I won't feel as special. Like it won't feel as much of like this special thing, which is like stupid, but like
sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, if you do it all the time, it just like everything else you do all the time. Like most of the time, it just is like a normal thing, and then sometimes it's really special.
Yeah, but
what's the difference? Like the thing is, like even though it'll mostly feel like a normal thing, it'll still feel special more often than it does when you don't do it very often. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like it's hard to think. People don't like. That's the thing. Like when it gets more normalized, so you still have those moments that are really wonderful. But then you have other moments where you just feel like trash and you feel like it sucks and you hate it. But you're still getting things done. And the thing that I've noticed is when you go back like a week later and you look back at like all the stuff you wrote the previous week, you can't tell what felt horrible and what felt brilliant and fun. You've got all this like you can't tell afterwards. Like in the moment it feels one way. And that's just how you're feeling in the moment. Later on, when you've got all this stuff that you like or don't like, you can't tell a difference. And so, like, I think there's a value in kind of chasing the dragon in the sense of like chasing like the quote, the creative high of of when it's good. But you just kind of increase your possibility for that the more you do it.
Yeah.
You just keep pursuing it as a practice. It's like, when your boyfriend was playing football for a while there. And like when you play those, like football, they'll play like 13 games in a year, but there's practicing every day.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. Like you're just kind of doing it and over and over and over again. But then those big game days, huh?
He said he'll never listen to this podcast.
No. But like those game days is what you're doing it for, right? Those moments where it's really hitting. Because otherwise what happens is you have those big ideas, you get that big inspiration, and you fumble the ball. Uh-huh. You know what I mean? Because you haven't practiced.
That's one way to put it, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I've... So I really think, like, you don't want to... That's where, again, like, I think it's sometimes, like, if you want to take it more seriously often, it's a good idea to kind of take it less seriously in a way of, like, just try to make it a normal thing that you do and not worry so much about, am I going to make a big career out of this? Because when you start to think that way, you paralyze yourself. And you also, like, start to make marketing decisions. Like you'll do things like, you're writing a novel, say, and you're like, well, I'm going to do this thing. Like, I see it all the time. People will say, like, instead of, like, someone reaches in the fridge and they grab a pop, and instead of writing Coca-Cola, because maybe some readers are Pepsi drinkers, they'll write soda or something, And it's like, nobody wants to read about pop. They want to read about Coca-Cola vanilla Cokes, you know, like they want specific details. They want an evocative world. They want, you know, they don't want this generic thing. Everybody's like, once you start to think in the business mindset of marketing in terms of the writing itself, you start to make like weird decisions like, oh, I won't name the city. I won't give the person a name. Instead of like instead of writing about my dog that I love, I'll write maybe your dog, you know, I'll write in the second person because it's your dog. Like they'll make weird decisions like that kind of like don't make a lot of sense for the piece because they're kind of wrapped up in the head of like a marketing person's head. I think it's like really helpful to separate, like to normalize a creative practice. Just kind of do it as much as you can, in, you know, and don't get, and just do it like the minimum that you like, the minimum conditions. You know, like I need 10 minutes and a piece of paper and a pen, and you know that's all I need. And maybe I can only do like, you know, maybe I can't do a whole lot in that period, but I'll do that every day or whatever. And then I'll try to do more, but that's my minimum. And then the other thing I think that is really useful to do, especially when somebody's starting out, is to really separate out, like to have a separate time, a separate scheduled time that's totally separate, where you're making what I would like to call business decisions. So like in this totally separate scheduled time, like every week on Fridays afternoons for like 30 minutes, I go research, send things to literary journals. Like I take all that stuff I wrote like 2 weeks ago or whatever, and I send it out. And you know, and you just kind of have like that separate kind of regular thing where you're learning. I'm reading a book about, or I'm working on my website or whatever, as opposed to like what people tend to do is they'll either be working on the business stuff all the time because now they're in marketing mode, and then just annoying the hell out of their friends and all their followers and everything because all they're doing is selling their books and trying to get you to click on their link, or whatever. And they're not doing any writing anymore because they're in marketing mode. And the whole thing that made them like got them a book, a deal or whatever it is, now they're not doing it anymore. I've seen so many people who never do a second book because they finally realized their dream of putting a book out, and then now they're paralyzed. They can't. It doesn't live up to their expectations somehow.
Right.
And so, you know, they didn't sell as many copies as they thought or whatever, but like that's the wrong way to think about it. You know, you got to kind of
past that though.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to make money off it, like I am, you know. But my decision I made early was like, I'm not going to, like my quote unquote business doesn't depend on book sales. Like I'll get more money to read from the book for 15 minutes than like to write the book half the time. Depends what it is, but like, you know, other things I've made more money to write it and stuff. But like, I feel like in that scenario it's often like if you kind of have a separate time where you're doing all these things from the artistic time where you're really pursuing, you know, the thing you love, you can kind of keep the work risky and dangerous, and you know, you can do all the kind of interesting things you want to do, and you can be doing stronger work. And then also you're not neglecting like getting your work out there in some way. I think it's important to do both, especially because you want to get used to being rejected. You know, I'm marking assignments still right now, and I give them a bonus mark if they send their final assignment in the class to a literary journal and they prove to me they sent it. And, you know, of course they'll get rejected, but, you know, it's good to get over the hump of like, I like what, you know, Gregory always says, Gregory Kamichik always says about how his goal is to collect one rejection every week. You know, if he gets something that's not a rejection, great, but his goal is the rejection. You know, it's just sort of thinking in terms of your job is to do the work and to shove it out in the world. You know, you don't get to control what happens to it after that point.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's in some ways not your concern. Like it is and it isn't, but, you know.
A little bit your concern.
It's a little bit of concern, but yeah. But, you know, I don't know. What do you think would make, maybe just like another question or two, and then I'll call it a night. But like, what do you think would, like when you think, do you have any goals as a writer? Or do you not even, do you know what I mean? Have you ever thought about like having a goal of some sort?
I mean, there are things where I think, like, oh, that'd be cool
Like what?
to do, but I haven't really made goals.
Sure.
I don't know, like, it'd be cool to publish a book, obviously, like, to have...
Why not make that a goal? Like, what would prevent you from, say, making it an actual goal and moving towards the goal? Sure.
Because then I could not reach it. Which, like, is lame, but I don't know.
Most people don't publish books.
I'm very much that person where it's like, if I make a goal for myself, I have to do it, or I feel totally defeated.
But does it have to have a timeline on it? My goal was I wanted to publish a book by the time I was 30, and I just barely did it. Mm-hmm. But if I hadn't done it, it wouldn't have ruined my life. Most people don't publish. A lot of people don't publish books till after they're 30. Like, that's still young. I mean, I don't know. A lot of people do it quite young now, but not necessarily. But everyone's different, right? But do you feel like, why not make a goal and not attach a time to it exactly? I think it's good to attach times to things, but like, here's the way I always say it. Like, people, like, if you were a person who was like coming to me for advice as a, paying me for my advice, mm-hmm. and you said to me, my goal is to publish a book, I would say that's a bad goal. And the reason is because you can't control, well, unless you're going to self-publish a book, but you're talking about getting a book with a publisher, right? I would say it's a bad goal because you don't control whether a publisher accepts your book. Your goal should be to submit a book, to get the book written and then submit it to a bunch of, keep submitting it to publishers until such time somebody publishes the book, Mm-hmm. And then once you send it off to publishers, write another book, Yeah. And if you because if you focus on the things you can control, like you can write the book, you can submit it places, you can keep submitting it and keep submitting it every time it's rejected. Mm-hmm. And my first book was rejected for 3 years straight, and every single rejection letter said, "We love this book. We're not going to publish it."
Why?
There's always a different reason. Mm-hmm. And one of the best ones was, we're sure somebody else will publish it. And I by this time, it was like 3 years in, I was like, I assure you nobody wants to publish this book. But then I didn't get to publish it for it. Mm-hmm. But by the time I got the publisher for the first book, I'd already written and got another contract for a second book. Yeah. So, and it's because I kept focusing on the things I could control. Like I could write it, I could submit it, I could start another one. Mm-hmm. So if that one didn't get accepted, maybe this other one would. And by the time I got the first book actually came out, I had written, by the time I got my first book came out, I had a second book under contract to come out, and I had written 7 books, 5 of which never got published. Still sitting around. Actually, one was to be, one was going to be published, and then I ended up pulling it because me and a friend had co-written it, and the publisher had taken it, and then the publisher took this other book from just me, and then another publisher took his first book. So then they kind of like didn't want to have this co-written book coming out. Oh. So anyway, we just all kind of agreed it made more sense to pull that book. Right. So again, that book never got published again, so that's still sitting around. So I've literally got at least 5 books, if not more. I know I had 5 books written that I didn't publish before the first one got accepted. That's normal too. Mm-hmm. Not everyone does that, but it's pretty normal. And that's the thing, like, that's not a failure. They're just, because I did it.
That's true.
It's just the process. Mm. But like you say, people don't know what the process is. It's invisible,
Yeah.
Because you always hear about the big one. People lie and say, like I would be very like Murakami. Did you really just think about writing a novel at 29 and then you did it, and then you won a big award and then you were a famous writer? Like, did it really go that way? Maybe. But I would be surprised.
Yeah.
He is a kind of, he's also a weird person who's just kind of, I guess, realized all of a sudden one day he was the biggest writer in the world. You know, like it doesn't happen too
Wish
often.
that would happen to me.
Yeah, well, it happens, but maybe. But it won't happen if you don't write anything. If you don't write a thing.
True.
That's why I always tell people to get their website going and just start putting stuff on your website. Because even if nobody's reading it, you're in the practice of doing it and producing work. Because like you say, it adds up.
Is being published?
Yeah. So it can be good and bad in that sense. It's self-publishing technically, right? So it's bad in the sense of you can't necessarily resell. Sometimes you can resell that stuff, but if it's already been published, there's certain. But most people don't want previously unpublished stuff, right?
Yeah.
But it's good in the sense that it's there. It is published. You can show it to people. It's it depends what your goal is for the piece.
It doesn't feel like it counts because you didn't have to
It depends who's counting.
You didn't have to get anyone's approval.
Yeah, but sometimes that's good. Sometimes people don't know it.
But then I don't know.
I think to me, I think you should be doing a combination of things. If you want, not you specifically, but writers who want to who really want to take it seriously, even if they don't want to do it full time or anything. If they want to do it seriously and really approach it like a professional would, I think you have to do a combination of things. You have to be publishing yourself, plus you have to be publishing with other people, and you have to be doing a lot of different types of things.
Yeah.
But you really only have to do the things that you think are. I think you also want to prioritize what is the thing that you are best at and should and can do. And sometimes you don't know that.
No.
That's the other thing. You don't know that when you're young. That's why I really think it's important to do a lot of stuff when you're young, especially because one, you need to practice doing stuff. Two, you need to practice getting rejected. Three, you need to get towards that acceptance. You got to kind of keep moving, But the other thing is maybe you're really good at something you haven't even tried yet. You should write poems, you should write short stories, you should write, all sorts of stuff. I used to, when I was at U of M, when you were going to U of M, I went to the newspaper there, the free newspaper, or the student newspaper, and I decided to volunteer for them. And I ended up getting paid at one point to do some stuff for them, but initially I was just volunteering.
Who pays you?
Well, they actually have jobs there. You can get hired to be a section editor or something. Yeah, you get a small amount of money, but it is a job. And then there's because the core jobs are paid a tiny amount, a little amount. So they're worth and then you also are volunteering as well. But my goal was my thing was always I want to just keep doing stuff. I thought. I had the idea if I just keep doing a lot of things, some of them will pay off, and some of them won't, and some of them will. It'll be it's like a lottery, except you just want to have a lot of tickets, right? And so I remember walking in there, and I was my goal is to write an article to publish in every section of this newspaper, and I did everything except for I didn't write a sports article, but other than that. I did an arts article, a news article, a music review, a film review. I did a cartoon once. I drew a cartoon for them.
Really?
Yeah, I did the horoscopes. That's how I started doing haiku horoscopes. My cartoon was Maynard the dog with wheels. It was about an evil. Yeah, I'll show it to you. I'll find the computer. Hilarious. It's I was trying to do the most offensive comic I could humanly do. So it was about this evil dog and this boy named Timmy. And the first story was, they're really bad. So one was about how the dog had sex with his mother. Okay, I forget the precise words. One was about my favorite one was, it's hey Maynard, hey Timmy, and what are you up to? Or hey Maynard, look at this fun bell I got to play with. He's Timmy's holding a bell. And Maynard goes, well, you know what they say, Timmy. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. So if you get hit in the face with a big pile of shit, that was an angel flying overhead, not me. And then Timmy would say, I hate you. He said at the end of every comic, Timmy said, I hate you. It was the same 3 panels all the time. Yeah. And then my buddy at the time, Gareth, Garth. He hated Garrett Van Winkle is his actual name, but everyone called him Garth. He hated my comics so much, like, because it was so poorly drawn, that he like redrew it for me, and he actually became like, he was connected to like a very famous group of artists at one point, the Royal Art Lodge. Marcel Zama came out of them.
Did he rewrite everyone? I mean, redraw.
No, he redrew. He just did one redraw, because I use the same panels all the time. I did two, and then the third one was too offensive to print the last panel. I forget what it was. It was something about the Virgin Mary. Anyway, but I did like, a thing for everything. I did like I did a joke art gallery installation. I did all sorts of stuff. I didn't make much money from that, but eventually like I did get a section editor job. I made some money on that, and more importantly, I got just practice at doing things. And some of it pays off, some of it doesn't. It's tough when you're older. Like I'm now, like I feel now that I'm older.
You're not even old.
I know, but I feel old compared to you. You know what I mean? I'm not even that old compared to you, really. Like if you look at the math of it, but I just now that I've done a lot of stuff, and I feel a little like now I feel like the problem is I need to focus my efforts more and not do all this stuff, but just really be cutting. What are the few things that are going to give me the most return, and whether it's money or just enjoyment. Like what are the few things I need to really focus on? Mm-hmm. But when you're young, I think there's a value. Like if you can figure that stuff out early, it's great. But when you're young, you should just be doing things and seeing what you like and what you're good at.
Yeah.
Like you're really good at editing. Do you want to do a bunch of editing? I don't know. But like you're good at it, so it's nice to know, I guess, whether you pursue it or not. It's good to just kind of get the idea, like that you're good at this or that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's tough. There's no really easy answers.
Unfortunately, no.
No, especially in the art universe. But I do, one of the whole reason I do these like websites and I'm starting this podcast and stuff is because I was very frustrated, like you are, I guess. I was very frustrated that like there was no answers. Mm-hmm. Everyone would talk about writing, especially, and like this mystical thing. It's like, why can't you just explain it to me?
Because it's art.
But it's very explainable, like. That's the thing, like, I think the thing, I'm not the best writer on earth or anything like that, but I think what I'm very good at is, like, I can very analyze the thing and break it down and explain how it works.
I don't know many other people that do that other than you.
I'm one of the only people that I've met that does it.
So it's...
Like, not to toot my own horn, but...
Most people that write, they don't approach it mathematically.
Yeah.
Like you do.
I was once talking to a buddy of mine. He asked me, he's like, "Oh, how's the writing going? How's your novel going?" And I was working on this novel, and I said, "Well, this is the problem that I'm encountering." And I started like breaking down, like, here's how it's been going. Here's like the thing that's going well. Here's the thing that is not going well. Here's the problem I'm having. Here's a solution I'm going to implement to fix the problem. I just started like explaining like my plan, and he like sat there and he was like dating a writer and knows all his writers. He's a writer himself. And he said to me, he goes, that's the first time I ever asked somebody how their book was going. And they actually told me. Again, like, I don't think I'm the best writer on earth necessarily. But although, I have my days when I'm cockier than others. But I think what I'm very good at is like, I've got the PhD. I've got the very analytical approach to like, because unlike you, I never had a lot of talent. Well, unlike you, I don't have the talent really, like, so I had to really work at it, and like, I had to really think through, like, okay, I don't necessarily just know instinctively what to do here, so I just had to think through what are the options, and I trained myself very well at that.
Very good.
Yeah, we're getting tired now, I guess, eh?
A little.
Is it helpful when I help you with? I mean, obviously, it's helpful sometimes, but like, do you ever get mad at me when I'm like? Not in life, but like
sometimes.
For like with the writing stuff.
Depends.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to do my own thing.
Yeah. As opposed to how I'm telling you to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I just don't want to do anything, so I'm fed up.
Yeah. With the writing or with me. Well, you're a good sport.
Well,
I can always tell when you're getting annoyed. Sometimes I push.
I'm so tired. It's like midnight.
Oh, I'm not saying you're annoyed right now.
Oh, I thought you were.
No, I just get, but I can always tell when you are getting annoyed with like the writing thing. But sometimes I just push on it anyway because I don't mind. I don't like when you get mad, but I don't mind annoyed.
Thanks.
But anyway, well, thank you, Jessie. You've been a good
You're
guest.
welcome.
Yeah, any last minute
Hello,
questions?
fans.
Hello, fans. Yeah, Jessie's got a lot of fans. Every time I post it, I always say that Jessie has more fans than I do.
Yeah, but they were your fans first.
But they still like you better. Well, thank you very much, sweetheart.
You're welcome.
Any last thoughts for the world of the podcast realm?
No, not really.
No?
I'll let you know if I think of any.
What's your advice to writers? What's your best writing advice?
I don't know. Just do it.
Just do it.
Nike.
Nike is cliche, but it's true.
Don't second guess yourself. It's always better the first time, almost.
I don't believe that personally, but I think there's a real value in it.
I do.
I think it really helps to get out of your head.
I mean, not all
just,
the time, but I think
when you're in
all
the
the
mode
time.
of writing,
Yeah.
that's the most important thing, is to not second guess yourself. Later on,
just,
when
like,
it's second guessing time.
trust your gut.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just-
I don't really have good
just go.
advice.
Well,
I don't really know much.
what do you most want to learn? If, don't know. Don't even know.
Just like basically just what we've been talking about.
Yeah. Has it been
I just
helpful?
want to learn to be more disciplined.
That's the hardest
bit.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the important thing is to start small.
Mm-hmm.
And just I always push on schedule, but however sometimes people do quotas, like they're going to do 100 words every day or whatever it is. Like whatever it is, people, don't bite off too much to start with, like start small.
And I want to learn more words.
Vocabulary.
Yeah. I
I'm bad at vocabulary, I gotta admit. I don't have a very large vocabulary, which is funny. I do well in crosswords. I don't do, I can't do Scrabble.
I suck at Scrabble.
Yeah.
Now we're really off topic.
Anyway, but yeah. Well, good night, sweetheart.
Good night.
So thanks so much for listening, and thank you to Jessie. Thank you, sweetheart, for being my wonderful guest. I'll hound her to be on here again if at all possible. And hope you enjoyed that, despite our exhaustion level and sort of general, should be asleep instead or recording a podcast-ness. If you want to do what I always tell Jessie to do, which, she still hasn't really done, but, one of these days she'll see the wisdom of her dad's ways and get a writing schedule going. Go to jonathanball.com/schedule. That's jonathanball.com/schedule. You can get all sorts of information about why you should have a writing schedule. And also my most popular article of all time is, at that link. And also you can sign up to my newsletter, and as a free sort of gift to you, I'll give you a little ebook that tells you very briefly, but, in a lot of depth, how you can both create and maintain a writing schedule. Because I really do find the hardest thing for writing schedule is maintaining it. I have a hard time with it. My life changes all the time. It's difficult, but, I've got a system and it works, and it will work for you. Whatever your situation, whether it's more or less complicated than mine, you can get your writing done. You can do great work. First, you have to do some bad work, like I keep telling people. You got to be willing to fail, and you got to be willing to just do it. And you get going, get that writing done. jonathanpaul.com/schedule, give you the scoop. Thanks again to Jessie, and thank you to you for listening. Have a great week, and keep writing the wrong way.